Hello and welcome to Oye Cinema Club. Today we are going to be reviewing the film Good Boys. That was my pick because I'm Steve. And in this particular season, we are discussing movies that have a lot of bad words in it. A category that we picked in a bracket tournament thing that you will have to rewatch the previous videos that I know you don't care about. But today we do have amazing, amazing hosts. We have Jason Echo, we have Dino, and we have me. And the reason I picked this movie is because I remember when I first watched it for the first time. So this would be my second time watching it. It was a movie that I remember had a lot of bad words, but it wasn't as bad wordy as I thought it was in my head. But before I give my first impressions and initial thoughts, I want to hear what are your thoughts and impressions. And let's start with Dino.
Well, hello, hello. Actually, not my cup of tea. There were some good moments. This movie, even when I remember seeing the trailer, I thought it was trying to maybe be the new Superbad or the younger Superbad, and I love Superbad, so I was already a little iffy of wanting to watch it, and then watching it today, I just I don't know. I don't know if it's the thing with Superbad was it was still kind of in my same wheelhouse, age range, kind of similar to the things I did. Whereas maybe this one, because it's such a big age gap now, that I don't know if that makes me maybe a little more uncomfortable just watching kids like little like fifth graders, sixth graders do that kind of stuff, or talk about that. I just couldn't. I don't know. And the fact that it was rated R, I'm trying to think who is this movie for? It can be for kids, at least not to go to the theaters. This was still a theaters movie, and so like no one in high school unless you're a senior can go see it. I don't know if a senior would actually want to watch this in high school. I think maybe if you're in college as a freshman or a sophomore, maybe at that point you'd want to watch. I don't know. I couldn't quite because I love the side characters in it, like Sam and like the dad and stuff like that. I was like, oh, here's something, and even the girls, but I couldn't quite tell who the movie was for. I don't think it was for me, which is weird because kind of like the shenanigans of just going cray cray is something that I would normally be all for, but for whatever reason, it just didn't quite click for me. It's sadly there are some things I enjoyed, but that's my first impression. Just it wasn't my cup of tea.
All right, all right.
All right, Dino. Thank you for your marvelous essay on how much you hated the movie and the preface, how much you're going to just just dig a grave for this movie from your mouth.
I
Okay,
don't
here
know.
we go. Here
When
thank you,
when you
thank you.
when you
We'll be back with you, Dino. Jason, let's hear about your initial.
Hey, thanks, Steve. So, this is my second time seeing this film, and I remember when I saw it in theaters, I was very impressed at what they had done. Because, like Dino says, this movie is like, who is it marketed toward? It can't be marketed toward children. It's R. But then, like, is it marketed to high school kids and college kids? Probably, because there's high school and college kids in the movie, right? So there's all like different age levels of kids in this thing. There's even like, there's sixth graders and junior high kids and high school kids and college kids. So everyone's sort of in it. And I think all the acting in the movie is really good. So the story kind of goes in a few different directions. We follow a few side BC stories and whatnot. There's a lot going on in this thing. Um, but yeah, it seems like a movie that can get lost in the shuffle because I don't think the age group knew who to watch or what to watch it. So I mean, really, this is a comedy. This is for people who want to see a funny movie. Ultimately, who want to see a rated R comedy that's actually really good, starring children who are too young to even see the movie. But I think what makes the movie work is, and I can understand how people might like, well, that seems creepy, like doing rated R comedy and there's like kids are the center of it. But it's all very sweet and innocent. If you take the adults out of this movie, like this turns into like, a Nickelodeon film because these kids are so adorable and cute and funny and like they're not like in puberty yet and all they care about is like little kid stuff. They're just their whole world is little kid stuff and there's a beauty and innocence to that the movie is able to sort of uphold and like showcase where everybody else in the world around them are all a bunch of bad, terrible, misfit adults who are just like, they're adults. They're all grown ups. All their innocence has left them at this point. So they see the world, the way it is. But these kids are so hopeful, and every moment is so big to them because they're new to the world. So I like how the movie kind of, excuse me, shines an example and light on all that kind of stuff. How they sort of illustrate that, which is really nice. It's not an easy feat to make a movie like this, but I feel like the filmmakers executed it. I feel like it's a great script, great actors. Everybody sort of knew what they were doing. Everybody knew like the exact wink to the camera. It's super bad, but super bad for 12-year-olds, but not for 12-year-olds. It's a super bad story centering around 12-year-olds, but not for 12-year-olds. It's for older teenagers. Um, I did like the movie quite a bit. With the year it came out, I remember saying this is the funniest movie that I saw in theaters this year. This is probably the funniest movie that came out this year, and I'm going to stand by that still. This movie is very funny. I laughed out loud a couple times in it. I noticed a couple more performances from actors that I didn't the first time around. Like, oh no, that was pretty good performance. So, like, um, yeah, man, I had very positive feelings and notes, and there's a like Dino said, there's a lot of good moments, but I take the opposite stance and say I really get behind this thing. I think it's great. I recommend it to a lot of people.
Thank you so much, Jason. And now for my first impressions, initial thoughts. Um, so I have a very interesting take about the movie because technically this is like peeking behind the curtain of Cinema Club. We're supposed to review this movie a while ago, and every week we kept postponing. I kept watching the movie. So I started noticing like certain details, just minutia stuff from the background and stuff like that. That I'm like, man, to make a film like this, like especially to do it with children, like it's insane to me. I'm like, there has to be a lot of people like 18 to play younger. There has to be. But like at the same time, it's like to get these like very specific performances and like to work with children, to have like certain like not necessarily hidden things, but just like things that add to whether it's the joke or a statement or something like that. Like I thought this was a very, very well thought of movie. And it's a movie that I think would have been a little bit more successful uh, if it wasn't literally basically came out pre-pandemic. And I think that was like one of the reasons why, you know, people didn't necessarily this didn't get the proper marketing or the proper support in that sense. But I remember the first time watching it, I thought it was hilarious, hilarious. And now I just watch little details and things like that, and it just made me go like, man. And especially now that we live in an era where like you only get dialogue, maybe witty comedy here and there, but you don't really get any more that golden era that we had of comedy. Like there's not really comedy movies getting produced as much as, or at least not getting the proper backing. Uh, so yeah, so that was like my first impression and initial thoughts. Um, let's talk about Dino's hate for the movie. Uh,
Hate is such a strong word. Okay, so quick question. I not quick question, but it goes with the hate. We're all kind of saying this movie is not for 12-year-olds or middle school or whatever, but I'm almost like it is for that age. They just can't watch it. You know what I mean? Because it's like the language is probably there. People are probably doing. Kids are using the language, and with the internet, they're even no crazier shit than we did when we were that age. So I feel like it's that weird. At least to me, maybe I'm over whatever, but I feel like it is a movie for maybe that age range, but they can't watch it at all. Anyway, go on. Talk about my hate, and
well, listen,
I'll defend
listen.
myself.
They probably have watched it because in this day and age, if you really want to make an accurate movie about sixth graders nowadays, they will all be in their phones.
Yeah,
This movie came out what, 2018?
19.
19.
I'm still flabbergasted. You're saying that's the best comedy of 2019. I was kind of looking at the list, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
All right. Well, what's better?
I
What was Steve gonna say?
What's
no,
better?
I said I didn't say that.
No, I stand by it. What's better than
I
this movie?
know, but he said, ah. I think if you were to say raunchy comedy, maybe I'll give it to you there. But there are a bunch of other. Anyway, go on. You let's. I'll.
Well, find that. Like,
The
find it when
same,
you find
yeah,
a suitable suitor to back up your claim. I want to hear what movie was funnier than this in 2019.
yeah. He's about
Um,
to say Zootopia, but
yeah,
let's keep going. So in this film, there are very subtle things that whether it's a quick joke, that's something someone said, or something in the background. What were things that you guys noticed from the film that maybe could have gone unnoticed?
I don't. I don't think I
Can you
noticed
give an
anything in the
example?
background.
Can you give an example? Since and also
For
you said
example,
we delayed. We postponed once, didn't we? Postpone one
no,
this
twice,
movie.
twice. But I digress. Uh, we one example of this is like the kid that called the other kid sippy cup. He was wearing a shirt that said obey.
Obey.
Propaganda.
Okay.
Just
He
the
had a
shirt
shirt.
obey. I saw the shirt
Oh,
obey.
obey, and then on the bottom it said propaganda.
Hmm.
So you're saying that's an inside joke for us because it says propaganda?
No, that's a statement there. Yeah.
And one
I
of the little
saw the
boys
shirt.
had that on.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The kid that was having the kitchen party, right? That's the
Not the kid that was having the kitchen party. The kid that was like
oh
making
the
them
friend the
go,
yeah
making them like drink beer. Like, oh, you
yeah
gotta
yeah yeah
sip
yeah.
this beer.
No, I saw the obey shirt. I just didn't think much of it. The one that kept getting me was the oh here you go the child proof. I mean that was a returning thing, and I'm like, is it that hard to like was that a thing? I'm trying to remember if as a kid, but
Yeah, I
as a
couldn't get him
kid,
off as a kid.
I only remember it being like the one. I feel like the Tylenol bottle, at least in Paraguay, right? I mean, most everything in Paraguay you could open. It didn't have like safety child.
I remember
Maybe.
even the Flintstone vitamins had a childproof cap on them.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah.
That was you couldn't
Childproof
find that
caps
in
are on
Paraguay.
everything. Anything medicine, childproof.
Yeah, that was not that didn't make it to Paraguay. It was just the you know what it was? It was the one. I feel like it was Tylenol, but it was the one tab. Like it was the simple cap with one little tab. That was as safety proof as it was.
So
Um,
what were you saying about the cap in terms of the movie?
I mean that's what kept popping up, but they kept showing it. But I just kept thinking
Oh,
like that was their running gag of just like kids not being able to
hmm
open that. Is that kind of the stuff you're talking about? Even though that was really
Yeah.
in your face, I'm thinking like if it's background stuff. I mean, clearly a lot of the sex toys or the names for stuff. Oh, I forgot Stephen Merchant, right? He was in it.
Yep.
Um, is that the kind of stuff you're talking about? This and the sex toys or the anal beads? Um,
Yeah, tell us about some of these things in the background because
yeah,
I don't.
you
Nothing comes to my mind.
Just things that were in your face then. Just things that could have been unnoticed.
I feel like at the frat house there are probably things. Um, trying to think of I can't think of anything, man. I feel like everything not nothing was like too hidden.
There was one line that I was just like, why did they said that? Or maybe that's a saying that I just never heard in my life. But when the black kid called the main kid, uh, like the bring that dick,
Oh yeah, he did say something like that.
I was
Bring
like,
the big
what?
no, because that's a callback.
No,
And
he
they
said yeah, he had said something like "bring that big dick."
yeah,
No, 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 no. That was two different lines. The big old dick was like a different line
right.
that he
And
said.
so then later on in the movie that said bring your big dick or whatever it was.
No, he didn't say big. He said bring that dick. He said bring that dick. He said, he
I
literally he literally went like I think is the kid named Max.
sure.
Yeah,
So he was like Max what or whatever the Max
yeah.
said
He
or
said it
just
to him like,
he
"Oh
said
wait,"
bring
the
that.
black kid said it to him, but I don't. I think it's one of those things where like they compliment each other and they don't insult each other because they're still so innocent. Like they don't
Yeah.
understand how it works just yet.
And they aren't getting all the slang correctly either, so it's
Yeah,
they
they're
must
like
have heard it.
11, right, or
Yeah.
12.
They're
Mm.
going into sixth grade is what it
Yeah,
is.
they're like
So
11.
but I thought that was a callback because they had brought up the big dick or whatever before, and so then all of a sudden it's like bring that dick or what and so I saw that as a callback. I didn't. I just thought it was like there, and maybe that's again for me. What I thought was funny is just like their terrible use of slang, right? Because even like just how they would say "babe," like at the towards the end when he finally has a girlfriend, it's like, "Hey, babe, babe," and like everything they would say that was supposed to be, oh, that's what it is. That's where I thought it was kind of funny or cute. Is they're trying like most coming of age movies, you try to be older, you try to make that jump. And so then you have these kids that are like between 10 and 12 and they're just trying to sound 14, right? It's not like in Superbad they're already trying to pretend to be 21, right? Because they're going to they want to buy alcohol, they want to do that, they want to be like adults. This one the kids are like, I want to be the creme of the crop of middle school. So there, it's again, everyone, all these movies, people are trying to jump 2 to 3 years of age, And so that's what I thought was kind of cute and funny, just like their use of language and how they were, uh, really off. And also, then at some points, I was like, is that what kids really are saying these days? Is that is that the current speak of our youth,
Feels like
or
it.
is yeah? So that's where I found that the funniest was just everyone's kind of verbiage and what was cool and not cool.
Right on.
Right on. So let's talk characters.
Yeah,
There's a lot. There's a lot of characters. Very
tons.
sparkly. Tons of them. Tons of them. Even some that have very quick scenes, but their scenes steal it. What is your one favorite character, and then what is your character that you think stole the scene or the movie?
The
So
movie's tough. Go on.
I was just gonna say that I like a lot of the characters in this movie because it seems like it feels like, and this is by design, which is difficult to like make the audience feel this, but each character in the movie feels like they're in their own movie.
I can see that's a great way to say it.
It just feels like we could have jumped in at any part of the story on any character we see, from the policeman to the bad college boyfriend to the guy who is trying to like buy the card from them, the card dealer or whatever. The two high school friends, the two girls. I was like, I could watch probably a whole movie with them interacting and like going on an adventure or something because they were really funny and really good, and I believe their friendship. There's a lot of relationships like that. The dad, I wouldn't have mind to see Will Forte go on his business trip. That movie would have been fine.
Or so like what the him leaving and telling the wife like I just walked in on our kid trying to masturbate, right? Which at that point I'm like, oh, like who is so proud of his kid? Like, oh, my kid, like how stupid is my kid? Trying did the Big Lebowski thing. Let me try and stop the door from the inside, but the door opens inward. So, or actually, Big Lebowski was. Either way, they did it incorrectly. That also like Sam Richardson's character, right? Of like calls up the his partner or whatever is like, yeah, I don't want kids.
Yeah,
Big
man.
kid
Yeah,
with
you do. You feel like you just got off of whatever long shift the police officer finished, and you feel like he's something else is about to happen as well before he makes it home. It's going to be a long way home. Like you feel like that with every character. You feel like that with the crappy college boyfriend who sells drugs to kids. Like he's in some weird frat bro movie right now.
Merchant. I just because you said that he when he's leaving with a sex doll and he's just like, I would have paid him $1,000.
Yeah.
No,
So then
he
I'm
he
thinking
got
like,
he got me at the beginning. Like, I'm not a pedophile. Look at me.
He's like, he goes, do I look like a pedophile? Like, yeah, you look exactly like a pedophile. He goes, okay, fair enough.
but so then I'm like, is he just going around like the Craigslist postings and he's just going around like what else did was he driving around buying that day, right? Before, they get into the car wreck and the doll flies out,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
so like you said, the secondary characters were really flushed out and just like they had a purpose. They came in and hit it and quit it, right? Um, but a favorite, I mean, kind of want to say the cop, man. Like just his like trying to be because his first kind of line is just like, I've had a triple, like it's been fucking hell, and then these kids are kind of whatever, and he's like, all right, let me just get through this. Like you can see like his patience was just like overboard, and I feel like that might have been my uh especially with the end of that scene being like they put a dildo to block the door, and like his reaction to that is just like fucking kill me. So for me,
Well,
that's but to
there's a
steal the movie,
relationship.
I don't think anyone stole the movie. But what were you, Jason?
There is a relationship in the movie that is pretty funny because the mom and dad that are getting a divorce,
Right.
they never really speak to each other in the movie. They just speak to the son to each other, like through the son to each other.
I thought
And there's,
Lil Rel was speaking to her, and she was just being like, "Nope."
yeah, exactly. She shuts it down every time. And so there's a scene in there where he goes, well, it's like me and your mom, we're gonna remain best friends. And she's like, mm-hmm. Like, and from that, mm-hmm, you could tell something like crappy had happened in that marriage where she wants nothing to do with this man. And I started thinking to myself, like, well, what did he do that he's getting a divorce? Like, what happened in his story where she's just like through with him? She doesn't want anything to do with him anymore. But they're both being so good around their kid. Like they won't fight in front of the kid, but she's like she doesn't want to deal with this man. And that is like it's just the way she looks at him, like how she won't answer him and she just go, mm-hmm. Like there's something behind that. Mm-hmm.
Well, because that's the most she kind of talked, right? She barely had any lines. It was mainly Lil Rel just talking, and her just like, or just like
And it's
every
amazing.
like talk
It's
about saying
loaded. It's a
something
loaded.
without,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
To me, man, favorite actor, it's it's difficult. I definitely have to name Sam Richardson. Shout out, good improv with him. But he killed it. He killed it on his scene. But one character that I enjoyed, I enjoyed the arc of his his performance was the vocal teacher,
The musical teacher, the
the,
theater
mus-
director.
the theater director, the musical teacher. Yeah, because I love that scene of the walking on sunshine. He's just crying.
So okay, I do like that, and I don't know, maybe, and this is so weird because I normally wouldn't have an issue about it, but especially because they show whatever the musical is at the very end, and it's like I don't know if it's Freddie Prince or Freddie Prince, Freddie Mercury or like rock or whatever, like drugs and all that.
It's what's the name of the dude from VH1?
From VH1.
Carson Daly.
No, there's a dude that used to have a lot of shows on VH1. He used to be big, popular in the
Oh,
'80s.
Rock of Love or whatever.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
And
that guy. What?
my only
but
thing,
it's
I would have.
definitely 80s punk rock. Or is that the teacher? Is the teacher that guy?
No. That's an
Oh,
homage.
got you.
Cause the
Yeah, yeah, I
teacher,
got
Oh,
yeah, the
so
teacher was like a reject from LA.
you. Yeah.
yeah, and what I would have liked, I mean, or at least for how small the character was and how crazy that musical was because they had the cocaine and all that, I thought it would have been funnier if he didn't snort cocaine at the or whatever because it showed the teacher like be really happy and then he snorts, what we can assume is cocaine or it's crushed pills or whatever. I just think it would have been funnier, like if his character, like maybe he had done drugs, but now like he was on the like the narrow, like the good whatever pathway, and like that was just he was just that crazy or psychopath without also being on coke, because he's like my masterpiece, and I was like, Yeah, let it that be his masterpiece, which is so wrong on so many levels. That doesn't have to be because he's also doing drugs. I don't know. Does that make sense? That's really picky. Just something that I noticed that I was like, oh, it would have been really funny if he were just sober and he thought this is my masterpiece. Because if you're on drugs, you might always think whatever you just did is your masterpiece. So that was the only reason.
So was
But
he on
yeah,
drugs or not?
he snorted something. He's like, "This is my
Oh,
masterpiece," and
right at the end. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
he
yeah,
got
yeah.
his
At the
little
end.
keychain. That's what I mean. I I
Because I feel
I
like that was like part of his story in a way. Like maybe he was in the tail end of a what do you call that? A hair band, a
um,
glam band in the '80s,
yeah,
like
yeah,
right
yeah.
before
I mean,
grunge.
he had the long hair. I do think that's a great scene of him kind of tearing up. It has very much also like the Step Brothers vibe of when he sings at the Catalina wine mixer and everyone's just like blown away. Um, but yeah, yeah, like again, going to like other movies or other roles would be seeing, yeah, what's the deal with his teacher? What happened before, and what's happening after, you know. Um, we never saw the parents of Thor, right? Did we? The kid that sings?
So we do see, I believe, his mom, and you see the family, but you kind of need to like pause the movie to like see like pictures of the family.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, you were really breaking it down. Because you know what I see that's kind of like not center focus or like if I really pay attention, I see like a Vitamix. That's kind of what I see, this blender that's not, in shot. But that's because I've been staring at it like for an hour and a half now. And it's so well, it's got great lighting. It's like the one thing, it's like, ooh, like the Holy Grail, that kind of stuff. Is that what you're thinking of, Steve?
No. But let's talk about scene. Uh, what was your favorite scene and why? Start with Jason.
Um, I don't know if I had a favorite scene for this one. There's so many nice, funny moments, and there's some good stuff that I have forgot. Um, and I still laughed out loud at enough of it. You know what I mean? Like where it's like, oh yeah, it caught me off guard. That's just a legitimately funny joke. Yeah, I can't think of any scene that stood out to me, but if I do, I'll get back to you.
I'm gonna jump the gun, and I'm gonna say that to me, that montage was epic, was absolutely amazing how it was
Agreed.
done, especially how they just how they were able in just that montage. Because typically, like Hollywood montage is like whatever, it's like a whatever song, and like you see the progression of one story. But here you see the progression of three stories,
Yeah.
and it was done really great. And then to seal it with the with the musical, that to me was epic, epic.
So the first time I saw that montage, and he was crying because the girl had broke up with him,
Yeah,
that had me. I laughed so loud in the theater at that. It was unreasonable.
no,
And yeah, it was. I didn't
to me,
laugh as loud this time because I knew it was coming, but I did laugh at it still. It's funny.
I laugh at the rebound at the the girl that he went with,
Yeah.
the best friend, the one that set them up. Oh
Oh,
my
that was the
god.
best friend.
Yeah, no, no. But then they hook up. Then the
Oh
best
yeah, the two
friend,
the two girls hook up.
well, yeah, or
Yeah.
at least they hold hands again. So, but I assume But okay, so I agree. That was my favorite like scene, but I wasn't sure if that counted because it is a montage. But yeah, seeing that transition of just like Brixley, the name. Oh, I will say the names are on point. Chef's Kiss, because these like I guess Gen Z names now. I don't think they're millennial. The names are just amazing. Uh, but yeah, having this girlfriend getting broken up, her friend is now her girlfriend, is his girlfriend,
Oh my
and
God, how can I forget the scenes where like the Max is just like staring at the girl, like he's like in love, just like watching her, and she's just doing the grossest things,
oh yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. Her
or like something,
retainer, her
or or
retainer is yeah.
or when she's like in the skateboard, just like doing this.
That was a great delivery with him. Also, he was explaining kind of why he's in love, but then, and I think it was something like, just when I thought there wasn't anything else that she could do to impress me or whatever, and it's like, and now she skateboards or something like just that idea of like what is important in like for kids, or what's like that mind blowing moment, because they had already set up how it was the scooter kids or the scooter gangs, whatever, like they were the cool kids that I imagine did the scooter flips. uh so yeah, that line delivery was great. um
And did you guys notice the necklace that he made for her?
yeah, I mean, it wasn't what I mean. Yeah, and that's the thing. Was there more of that, or was it less of that? And they felt they needed to rely on those kind of visual gags. Uh, excuse the no pun intended with the like, is that something that you feel they needed, or is that something that was maybe more like we need more of these kind of blue kind of easy jokes?
I I think I think they basically probably made like these parents go like, yo, to what limit we can like push certain things.
Well, I
And
was
they probably filmed a lot of things that weren't in the
around it,
movie.
yeah. I just read that I guess the director, writer, or they would basically do line reads or tell the kids what to say, but not explain like out of context. And they would not answer any of the kids' questions when they asked, "What is that?" They were like, "Ask your mom." So I don't know if that helped or hurt the movie in the fact that kids were just saying random ass shit without knowing what you know what they were actually saying. But some of them I think really worked. The others kind of. Do you guys hear the dog barking or no?
Yeah, but just a little bit. It's
Okay.
fine. Um, yeah, it's very interesting. Uh, Especially when you're doing, yeah, it's quite the ambitious film to pull off. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the reasons why I think maybe this film, I believe, could be one of those films that it just gets kind of forgotten.
Did it? I
Uh,
thought it was everywhere.
It was.
no,
It got a really good push by the studios when it came out, and I don't think it was like unsuccessful. But it's not one of those movies that's going to like make the rounds. Like people aren't going to recommend this movie,
yeah,
and it's a hard sell too because well, what's it about? It's about these 12-year-olds pass. Like you're zoning them out. It's about these 11-year-olds, and nope, not tonight. Now I said I wanted to see something funny.
Well,
and
yeah,
like
it's super
I
bad.
would,
It's American Pie, but 11-year-olds
and
who
also I would think like this would be a good film to like be on at least Netflix, and it's not there. So
Maybe it's one of those films you got to do a little explaining to because you don't want kids to say, "Oh, look, three cool kids on the cover of a movie. I'm going to watch this movie about kids," and then
It
they
made
fall
it
into
made
this.
it made its money back in opening weekend. I mean, if we're going by box office budget, 20 million. Opening weekend just in the U.S. was 21.4 million. Gross 83 million in the U.S. and worldwide it was 111 million. So I mean, I don't know. That to me sounds like they're pretty darn good.
are these kids rich?
Are they
Uh,
rich?
Depends if their parents are uh, saving their money.
No, but there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot that protects kids from parents stealing money.
Yeah, ask Macaulay Culkin. He
Yeah.
thanks to him basically the kids these days have a better chance of not getting screwed over by their parents.
I think that started because of Gary, um,
Goldman
you know,
Coleman,
yeah,
Gary
Gary
Coleman,
Coleman, yeah, because
him,
he
but
he got he got juked out of his money,
yeah,
but Macaulay Culkin didn't.
a little bit. I mean, to the point that he was able to then get. I mean, maybe I'm also way off, but there was something going on, and that's why he was able to separate himself, get the emancipation or whatever. But
Yeah,
that's
right. I guess they were stealing something from him or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
What do you guys thought about the story itself about the movie?
You know, I really I really liked the story. If I'm being honest, I really liked the story. I like how the movie kind of flowed. I liked how the stakes, the stakes are not very much, but they're everything in a kid's eyes, right? I mean, the stakes aren't huge for super bad. They're just trying to get booze back to a party or whatever, right? But this one, he's just trying to like have his first kiss or something. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole adventure. And they end up sort of going, obviously a very roundabout way of doing it, but it sort of turns into like the Princess Bride a little bit. Like they're in this big, like epic open world adventure, but it's all still pretty small, but it's a pretty big adventure for an 11-year-old to have to like cross the other side of the freeway. Like that's huge, right? Or they have to walk all the way around. So it's like they just cross the freeway. Like um, I like the story. I like the story. It feels like an adventure movie. It feels like a quest. It is a quest film. I mean, it's absolutely a quest film. It's just, it's a very, the stakes seem so low, but because you used to be a child how big the stakes are, for their adventure. So it's great. I really did like the story. I like the way it's put together. I think the writing was really good on this thing.
Dino.
The story was fine. I mean, it was that kind of adventure of just like what do you call it? What do they? There's a phrase for the movies, the quest, right? Of just going. It was. I'm not a hater. It wasn't for me, but I do see the funny bits and parts. It was a lot of screeching, and I'm guess as a little kid, I probably also had a high pitched voice, but that was something that was getting annoying to me was the screech, the high pitched voice. Um, yeah, it was it was a mission movie, I guess. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Put me down as a hater, even though I didn't hate the movie. It just isn't my cup of tea. Everyone did their job.
Yeah, we're talking about the story though.
Well, there isn't a whole lot of story other than one a guy like a girl, they have to kiss, they're always pretending to be more experienced as an adult. They have to pretend to drink or say they have drank. Uh, I mean, that's
I
the
mean,
story.
but think
That's a
about the
story of
decisions. Like these girls went to the length of like getting $600 to buy another drone just to get Molly.
well, but they had I don't know how much Molly is. Like I don't know how much Molly is,
Listen,
but
Molly's not $600. I don't know how much is Molly in the street. Maybe Jason knows because he's from
put
Michigan.
guys, put it down in the comments below. How much is Molly, and is this realistic Molly adventure? Um,
But I'm gonna tell
uh,
you, if you're paying $600 for Molly, you're probably getting ripped off.
especially if they say two pieces of Molly. Um, it's not. I don't know where they got 600 because I thought the kids only had $400, or they had what was it that they got the doll for that they sold the doll.
It's like
Five
500, right?
fifty.
It was 500 or 550. I forget what it was.
I,
Um.
I don't think it was a total amount. They only got like 500 for it or something.
Okay. But yeah, because they only asked for two pieces of Molly, which I also just the phrasing of the words is funny to me. But but then I see the pill and I'm like, oh shit, sorry. I'm like, is it full or is there only two in there? Like, right? What's yeah, I do not understand the drugs circuit.
I
Yeah, I just
think in
assumed
the
there was
first,
two mollies inside the. He was just using it to, transport it. It was in a vitamin uh jar.
You see,
Vitamin.
I thought they were gonna mix it up and that the kids were gonna take the Molly by accident because he got the pills or whatever. So, but the whole
I
point was that
I guarantee you, there's a version that we will never watch that has that alternative.
somebody was like, you're not like if it were a cartoon, we could maybe get away with this kind of shit from like South Park and stuff like that. But we're not having kids pretend to be tripping on Molly.
Yeah,
Like
I
that's
bet.
just not gonna happen.
Yeah, because
I
now
do
they're
like
gonna.
that. I do like the girls showing up high off Molly and kind of having a moment with the kids at the end of the party. Although I don't know, I wish there were a little bit more there. Because they were doing so well of playing off them because they had their own kind of like mission and insecurities as well. And so I thought they could play off more of the kids. Like her running them down, like
Oh my
I
god,
did
no!
not.
This when the kid goes like, "That was our babysitter trying to touch us." I lost it, and she just dives into the car.
Yeah, that was
I
pretty
like,
good.
yeah, I like how also she knows their name, but they didn't know her name or whatever that was. She's like, yeah, you guys are neighbors, or they know whoever. So I thought there could be more between them. But then again, I don't know if that is. I know you gotta hydrate with a lot of drugs, right? That's I think even alcohol, you should be hydrating, or else it's just gonna end up being worse.
So are you saying that you're
Hydrating
hydrating because you perhaps
because
have two pieces of Molly yourself?
maybe, maybe not. Um, yeah, I thought this movie, the posters were everywhere, man. For this movie, this was everywhere. Buses, everything. They were pushing this because it's Seth Rogen is behind it, right?
Well, yeah, I
Producer.
mean, it's interesting. I mean, it got a really big push. I mean, they say in Hollywood never work with children or animals, and he made this movie, and now he has an animal movie about to come out, right?
Yeah.
Strays, is that him?
And I think
Yeah.
you remember the movie Sausage Party?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they had a cartoon
Yeah,
that went there.
they made it like a series.
So I mean, these guys are really Seth Rogen and company. They're really pushing like the boundaries of like comedy and what you can do and what you can make people comfortable with, and how you approach it. But I think it's probably not that hard if you just approach it from really, you know, good intentions, really good intentions, and that's why this movie, I didn't hear anybody being offended by it in nature.
No.
Um, but it's interesting because that animal movie Strays, it's getting a really big push right now too.
But that one again, it's dogs, so it's a rated R movie and it's a huge cast.
A rated R movie with dogs.
Yeah, and all
Usually,
superstars.
movies with dogs are for kids, and they're not rated R. This is a dogs movie for adults.
It's also Will Forte, right? He's the antagonist. I mean, he's the pet, the dog owner that keeps doing the
He,
pet
yeah,
and like,
he's right. Yeah.
um. But that one to me, it's Homeward Bound, but rated R, which I think I'm gonna love because I grew up on Homeward Bound, and that's another movie. But yeah, this movie did really well. The Good Boys, but yeah, I think if I would have seen it in the theater, I might have laughed out loud more. But yeah,
What was the budget on this film?
20 million.
Okay, in
Yeah,
the
'cause
box office.
it was 21 million in the opening weekend, and
Okay,
I'm
then
trying to.
U.S. gross was 80 million, I believe, and world was 112 million.
They
yeah,
definitely
that,
spend. They definitely spend some money on the music. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
It had a lot of tracks.
yeah. But using mostly unknowns as your principal actors and being able to fill that thing out and get all like the well-known actors to sort of support the thing, and so they're all probably there for just like one day. So that makes the movie really cheap because it's like packed full of like these names that are probably only on set for like one day, and then the rest of it you're dealing with people that nobody knows. So you can pay everybody way less and get a movie like this made, and it's kind of a brilliant strategy. It's kind of a brilliant strategy.
interesting.
Yeah, man.
Now, okay, here's the question: Can could this movie work as a PG-13? Or because this is another thing of just ratings in general, right? Maybe with you, Jason, we've kind of talked about this, but at a certain point, the rating system has to somewhat evolve or change, especially with streaming and just everything that's on your fingertips, if you will, that you can just type in, kind of like them, right? And then the girls being like, how do you kiss or whatever, and they automatically just go to search for porn instead of how to make out or how to kiss, right? Uh, so it's like, can this, would there be like something between PG-13 and rated R? Like, is there something in between there? Are we going with language? Can we just start dropping the F bomb and it not be rated R, but be like PG-15? I don't know,
I don't
right?
know. I
Like,
don't think so, man. I think just like you said with the joke, that joke about the learning how to kiss, googling how to kiss or whatever, and then end up finding porn. Like that's sort of a real not a turning point, but that's sort of, I mean, it's short, but it's a kind of a key part of the movie because if you don't have that scene, then you have to ask, well, how come they never bothered to Google it? You sort of
Right.
need that scene where you're like, come on, you telling me kids don't know how to Google a simple thing, and they did go try to Google it. They just didn't Google it right. They didn't put in the right
Yeah.
keyword, which then now it works. Otherwise, you have that question. So then, like, you would have to answer that question as the writer, saying like, well, then what do we replace that with? Them googling it and not finding the right thing. Porn is just easy. It's an easy joke. It's an obvious joke. It almost has to be porn. Other than that, there's you got to make some changes. You got to
It
cut that
even
scene out
was
completely.
certified fresh. So I mean, this
I told you the
movie.
movie's good, man. I mean, you're allowed to have your opinion. I think it's a really, well-made film.
Have I said it's not a good movie, or have I just said it
It's
wasn't for
not your
me?
cup of tea.
I Yeah, not my cup of tea doesn't mean that I don't like it. We're not.
Fair enough.
This. I mean, we got Havoc, and then this is Oscar winner right here next to it. If those were the only two movies going up, this has good stuff. It has really funny stuff. Just not my cup of tea, guys. That doesn't mean it's a bad movie.
All right. Fair enough.
So with that being said, let's jump into final thoughts.
It's a bad movie. That's my final thought. No, I'm kidding. I do wish I would have seen this movie in the theaters when it came out. I forget who I just saw in an interview, but talking about promoting a comedy and just saying like you should really go out and try to watch, especially comedies in the movie theater, because you're going to be surrounded with people, and that just makes it, you know, funner and more likely to laugh out loud if there are people around you also laughing. So I do wish I would have seen this
Wait,
in
so
theaters.
let's correct this. You would like to see this in a movie theater with people because you could also see it at a time in the movie theater where
I
you
rent
could be
out a
by
movie
yourself.
theater.
No, no, you're just there by yourself because
Then
you're
I would
watching
be
a
like
matinee.
the pedophile guy, just Dino in a movie watching this movie. Yes, I'd like to see this movie in a movie theater, surrounded by like-minded people of that are legally able to watch a rated R movie. Yeah, and I think I would have probably have liked it more. But yeah, it has some really funny moments. It does have some sweet moments and some cute moments. But yeah, that montage is pretty great. Um, so yeah, that's would I watch this again? Probably not. Would I recommend this to anyone? I can imagine I would. It would be more like if Seth Rogen comes up and like the movies, that are probably around him. Yeah. and yeah, but I don't see myself recommending this or watching it again.
Uh,
But
thank you so much, Dino. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's go. Let's go. My final thought. This movie is incredible. This movie is amazing. You're gonna laugh so much. You're gonna enjoy it. Dino is a hater. But at the end of the day, we gotta support these comedy movies because now what they're doing is just putting funny dialogue in superhero films and trying to, just X out completely comedy films. So we gotta keep these comedy films alive. You know what I'm saying? For all them young comedians out there. Dino is a hater. I don't care what he says. Uh, he's doing other things over there behind the scenes. But anyway, this is a movie that's really funny. Something that I do wonder is did the kids were able to watch this film? Like
not at the
them
they had to have a special screening. They couldn't go into the movie theaters. I remember that was an issue because I believe Seth
Yeah,
Rogen
one of
talked
them was
about it.
talking about it on a late night show or something.
a kid was talking to me on a late night show.
No,
One
Seth
of the
Rogen. I
people,
know.
yeah, Seth Rogen was like, yeah, they couldn't show it to the kids. They had like a special cut for them or something.
Yeah, they went to the premiere of the movie, and I don't think they were able to actually go in and watch the movie, if I'm
So
not mistaken.
they just came in the red carpet and left.
I think so. And I mean, or they went to Dave and Buster's. I don't know, something like that, right? How
I mean,
about
there's
you,
no kids in this
Jason?
movie. So I've said it, throughout. I really like this thing. I thought it was the best comedy that came out in 2019, that year that it came out. Um, I think it's a really brave, and I think it's a really creative way to make a film like this. And it just takes a lot of cojones to say, I'm going to make a movie with 12-year-olds that no 12-year-old will be allowed to watch. It's like we talked about earlier. Who's your audience for this thing, and how do you reach them? How do you convince them? But they did a fantastic job marketing this film. I remember when it came out. I remember how they sort of explained what they were doing in commercials, and I believe they got like they had like longer sort of sketches as commercials, if I remember correctly. So they had a good time marketing this movie, and I think they did a great job. 100 million worldwide on a comedy is no small thing, and it only cost 20 million to make, so he made enough money to make a bunch more movies. So who wouldn't be happy with that? And it's very funny. It's a funny movie. A lot of the jokes are just jokes, so they're gonna always be funny. You know what I mean? Like a lot of this movie isn't gonna be really dated, because a lot of it's just practical humor, and they do a really great job of it. Who would I recommend this thing to? I would recommend this to anyone who really likes comedy, but who doesn't like raunchy comedy. They should probably stay away from it. Those who don't like the raunchy, because this is still a raunchy comedy. This is up the alley of like all the raunchy comedies from like the early 2000s. The American Pie, the Van Wilders. This is sort of in that range, as far as like R-rated comedy about kids. It's also like super bad as well, as far as like the comedic timing and whatnot. So if you liked any of those movies, yeah, you're gonna like this thing. And if you didn't like those movies, chances are you might still like this thing, because we were all 11 years old at once. Maybe you don't like this story and how it's set up, but I would say if you're an adult, give this thing a try. If you're okay with a little bit of raunch, like I wouldn't recommend this thing to my grandma or even like my mom. But if I'm not related to you as an adult, watch it. If you're okay with raunchy. And yeah, I will watch it again, but I think I will want to watch it with someone. I think I want to share this movie with someone, because it's a comedy, and it's one of those comedies where you sort of have to like stop and look at each other, maybe ask each other a question, like, did he say that or what? It just feels like something you should share with somebody, because it's a lot of like weird shock humor as well. So that's my final thought.
Well, well, well.
Well, well,
My
well.
my biggest thing was who leaves their drone sitting out for their kids to play with when that's for your job. That's
It
it.
clearly had a post-it note.
But there's a South Park episode with Butter's dad and a drone that hits so many more funnier things than this did. But hey,
Yeah, but they had to display it like it was the, Holy Grail or something.
yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
and
It's
I
like
without
get
a
it.
the
little charging dock.
drone, we don't have an adventure.
So, do you have a final thought, Steve?
I mean, I already gave my final thought.
Oh, you did give your final thought? Right,
I
you sure
did.
did.
We
You did.
we all
So,
did.
I guess
Jason,
that,
any questions?
yeah, I was wondering, Steve, what do you got for us next week?
Next week, I don't know why you asked me because I already went, so I can't go again. Like, what am I, a dictator? I'm going again, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm kidding. It is Dino's turn. Whoop, 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 whoop.
So, what
All right.
movies with bad words does Dino have?
I believe from the list that I found, it's top three, maybe top four most f bombs in a movie. And I haven't seen this, and I'll get into it, kind of why I haven't seen it when you come and watch us next time. It's Wolf of Wall Street. Woo, 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 woo.
Wolf of Wall Street, ladies and gentlemen. So for El Don Dino, Jason Echoes, and me, Steve the TV, we'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.